What's up, guys? Before we get into today's podcast, we have a sponsor for today's video. We really want to thank the guys out at Blue Mon.
Shout out Blue Mon.
This video. If y'all don't know about Blue Mon, they're an amazing hair styling and product company based out of Canada that has all kinds of products that we've all been using recently. So people are always asking what we do for our hair, so we're gonna take you guys through it right now.
All right, guys, you know I'm a hat guy, but when the hat comes off, I like to treat my hair with the best products out there. The Discovery Kit is the all-in-one kit for your hair. This kit comes with half ounce of each product so you can try them all to see what works best for your style. The best part about the kit is that it costs less than one of the full-size products themselves, so you can be confident in your future purchase. You get to give them all a try. Using
the pre-styler best prepares your hair for the post-styling product of your choice. For me and my thicker hair, I've found that the Marikai pre-styler stacked with the Cavalier molding clay works best for me.
All right, guys, for me, I like to pre-style with the Ascend Volume Cream, and then I stack it with the Monarch Matte Paste. Yeah, so I don't use too much hair product, so this is just the perfect amount. It's a little subtle drop. Put in my hair, it gives it that nice little texture, volume, and that does the job for me.
If y'all want to try any of Blue Mon's incredible lineup of products, you can use code LEGACY for 10% off, or you can just click the link in our description. That'll take you right there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and again, huge thank you to Blue Mon for sponsoring the podcast. And now back to the show.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back with episode 21 of Legacy Loading with a very special guest, Mr. Howtobeast.
What's going on?
David.
It's a pleasure having you, man.
Your last name? De Las Morenas.
That's pretty good. De Las Morenas, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't even going to attempt the last name.
Yeah, most of the people even don't know your full name.
Yeah.
That's
David Howtobeast.
David Howtobeast.
Yeah.
Well, before we jump into it really quick, we want to give a huge shout out again to our sponsor, Blue Mon, for today's video. They've been great to work with, amazing products, and we're really happy to have them. So I know they've worked with David in the past as well. So yeah, shout out Blue Mon.
Shout out Blue Mon.
Code LEGACY will save you. And with that, David, here we are. Dude, we were just talking with David before we started, because David's got like a super, super interesting, I don't want to say like different personality, but you definitely bring something very different to this scene. And I know that you sort of like been in your own lane doing your thing, but you've been in and around this. Like, what does that feel like for you, sort of not necessarily fitting the mold for the industry?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I think at first it was something I was a little self-conscious of before I fully owned it, because a lot of my content's obviously like confidence or dating or like internal struggles. And when I was getting started, like what was like on trend was very much more like Christian, Max, like fitness vlogs. And when I started working with Alphalete back, I don't know how many years ago that was now, like 5 or 6 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Whenever I'd come through here for the photo shoots, because I'd be living in Austin at the time, I always felt a little bit, not like an outsider, right? But like my content is very different from like, and this has evolved since then as well. But yeah, no, I think it's something that I'm super happy. Like it's better to be differentiated and have your own unique thing. 100%. And it's more me than if I just tried to like conform to the classic fitness vlogger like role. But yeah, no.
Was it harder to collab because you did different content than them?
I think, well, at first I didn't, and this was back in like really like the age of collabs too, right? When like people built their channels on collabs. Now collabs are like, I don't know, people just don't want to see them or don't care as much. At least like the classic YouTube collab, right?
They're done a lot. That's why.
Yeah. It's nothing special anymore, right? I think that back then, I don't know. I was so used to filming only by myself on camera. I think the bigger challenge for me was like all of a sudden, at first I was in Boston. I was like the only YouTuber that I knew there in Boston for a while. And then I came down here, and even in Austin, there wasn't anyone else I knew. Well, I think I did a video with Nick Bear when I first moved there. But then when I started visiting here, it's like every time here, there'd be just different like Alphalete athletes in town and stuff. And for me, it was a challenge at first, is like being able to vibe with other people on camera, because I was always so used to it. Like, it's just me. Right. I'd be going around throughout my day, but it's like, it's just me. And there's like, oh, this is someone else who's actually comfortable. When you put people who aren't comfortable on camera, usually you're just kind of carrying it anyway. They maybe just say like, hey, what's up? But then it's like back to you.
And you don't really know until you show up, like how they're going to be on camera. Yeah. So you're like just rolling with it.
Yeah, exactly.
What brought you from Boston to Austin in the first place? And what year was that?
So that was 2018. So I grew up in Boston. My family's from Spain, at least my father's side. So I lived in Spain a few times, but I'd always wanted to leave Boston. Like, I don't like the cold weather. I don't really like love Boston. Yeah. If you're trying to do your own like entrepreneurial thing up there, It doesn't vibe as much because it's very much like a traditional city.
Old school.
Yeah, it's old school. Everyone's trying to be like a doctor or a
Yeah.
lawyer or a college professor.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's in medicine or law and things like that. And so it was something I was trying to get away from for a while, but it took me a while until I pulled the trigger. And I was between like San Diego and Austin, warmer climates, supposed to be cool
I
cities.
love San Diego. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Oh yeah,
It's so beautiful.
San Diego's my preference actually.
San
Yeah.
Diego is. I love San. I like California overall, just like weather and vibes, atmosphere, everything.
Yeah, it's more. Texas is cool. We chose Texas at the end of the day because Julie had just graduated with her master's in therapy, and this is before she was working with me. And in California, this is like a bunch of like regulations and restrictions. She would have to do like another 2 years of school or something. So we're like, let's just do Austin.
Oh yeah. Wait, for those who like don't know, we didn't really introduce you. Like, what if someone asks you like, what do you do? What,
That's
what are you
literally
saying?
what I wanted just to
Yeah.
ask. Yeah.
I know Max's thing
How
is
would
like
you
you get in the
present
Uber.
yourself? Yeah.
How do you describe yourself?
I guess it's changed. I don't have like a quick way. I mean, maybe at one point just YouTuber, and I think I still identify YouTuber. But obviously it's expanded
Business owner
a bit
also.
beyond that. Yeah, and it's several different businesses now. So I guess if I'm like in a sentence, I'd be like, I have like a popular YouTube channel, and I've used that to launch a few businesses off of that.
David might be one of the few people that you could just say you're an entrepreneur, and
Definitely,
that
yeah.
really does mean what you are.
Yeah.
Like you
That's
have
what-
multiple businesses and multiple different avenues, and you're just a really smart business guy. So I think that's a good word to describe it.
Yeah, it feels like cringy in 2022 saying, I'm an entrepreneur.
But that's why I said you're one of the few people that can actually say that.
I appreciate that.
Because
Yeah, overall, definitely, yeah.
you started the earliest video on your YouTube channel right now is 7 years old. That couldn't have been the first video you posted, was it?
So I really started uploading consistently in 2017. So what's that, 5 years ago? I had a few before that, like a few probably from 2014, 15. But that's when I like had tried to start like a blog, and I just basically this is back when like blogs were even a thing, right? Like that was like was the thing before YouTube became the next thing.
Right.
And I had a few YouTube videos where I basically just like recited the blog post to the camera.
Got it.
But I consider my YouTube career starting 2017. That's when I like invested in a camera, started 2 uploads a week, and started to like experiment with the videos themselves.
How did that went? Like how your overall growth went?
Trajectory.
Yeah. Did you like went viral with some
Yeah,
video?
was there a viral
or-
video or was it like slow trajectory over time?
So 2017 January, I think it must have been like the December before 2016. I bought the Sony RX 100. It's one of those. Like you turn it on, the lens comes out, and
Mini
I think
vlogging
that's what I have.
cameras, Yeah.
That's the one that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a vlogger camera.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And I bought that. It was like $1,000. I didn't have much money at the time, and I was like scared shitless when I bought it. Like, oh man, am I gonna lose this $1,000? Man, this could be it for me.
You think it's the end of the
But that's
world.
how it all started. There you go, people.
Yeah, no, exactly. But I was also at a crossroads because I originally my career was in like software engineering, but then I quit that, did some personal training. Then I was like trying to make this like blogging thing work, and I was like breaking even, not really saving any money, just covering my expenses for a few years, trying to sell like online courses and stuff. In 2017, I was like, all right, I'm gonna try YouTube for a year. It seems cool. If it works out, great. If not, I'm just gonna go back to like a software career. I was like,
Why did you decide for YouTube? Did you already know Max and Christian, or just by yourself you wanted to do something?
Just I liked watching YouTube a lot back then. Like Elliot Hulse was one of my like first like people I really looked up to online that kept me like motivated when I didn't have other friends who were trying to do different things. And I think I always like really admired YouTubers, but I was always very intimidated. Like those earlier videos in the channel, when I tried a few times, I just felt so awkward. It felt so unnatural.
Same.
So I just stopped, and I was like, all right, we're gonna try a year for this because I think YouTube's ideally what I like to do. And since then it's been 2 videos a week since January 2017. I haven't. Yeah, it's like a religious thing. I haven't missed one.
High quality.
2 videos
Oh,
you haven't
shit.
missed a
videos.
single one.
Yeah, they didn't used to be so high quality. But
Well, it's all part of the process.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the ones that built the channel, to answer your question, is at first I did a lot of videos like approaching girls in downtown Boston, and this was, I guess, before that was like widely like a lot of people maybe had like courses with that. I don't know if y'all remember like RSD's like old school like pickup like company, but you'd have to like pay for their courses to get that.
Yeah.
So I was like putting those out there, and they didn't like blow up right when I put them out. But I remember it was like August, so like 8 months after I started, and all of a sudden I was getting like 1,000 subscribers a day, and I was like, man, this video I posted like a month ago is like 200K views now, and then a bunch of those just like got the momentum rolling.
Yeah.
That's
Interesting.
sick.
Yeah. That's
I was gonna say, what gave you the confidence to like be the guy who's like teaching that now? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like when did you think like, all
Because,
right,
yeah,
I'm
you
so
said-
like I'm so good at this that I could actually teach people how to do this.
That's a
Like
good question.
Well, if
And
you
in
watch
the
those
beginning,
old,
it was totally opposite. You said you were like really uncomfortable. So what changed throughout it?
well, I think a part of it at the beginning was like documenting my own journey overcoming like my lack of confidence with girls, right?
Okay,
And
okay.
obviously, by the time I'm filming a video doing it, I had enough confidence to do it. And as a side note, when you're filming, I don't do those anymore, but when you're filming videos, like, especially if you're just like in a downtown area where there's like, there's like some attractive girls walking by every once in a while,
yeah.
but without like a legit cameraman too, those videos were like the biggest pain to film.
You had to like set it up in the corner.
and I was using like the mic on my phone as the mic. I didn't have like a wireless
Like
mic
Rob
on me.
taping the phone on the wall, bro.
What you gotta do, bro?
Yeah, so it was, at first, if you watch some of those first approach videos, they weren't smooth.
So you were like building your confidence, like,
Yeah.
during that time,
In
like,
front of the
still,
camera.
yeah.
Obviously, for a few years before that, it's been an area in my life like I was working on. So it's kind of like similar how someone like Elliot Hulse had helped me. I was like, well, I know there's a lot of other guys out there who are trying to improve this area of their life. And at the time, like the old school pickup advice, it may be before y'all's time, but it was very cringy stuff. It was very like this very scripted, like cringy, like almost like a magician type, like weird stuff. And I was like, well, there's no like just bros out here just being like, I know this seems weird, but this is probably a better way for you to do it. So I was trying to be like maybe like more like the bro.
Right. And it wasn't like
dating
set
advice.
up. I remember a lot of that stuff was set up. Like
Connor
dudes-
Murphy.
Yeah, like dudes like picking up
Yeah.
girls, but it's
Like
just like
old school.
completely fabricated.
I get all those back then. That was still like the top comment, like, "Oh, this is staged." And I'd be like, "Bro, like if this was staged, like I must have hired like the worst possible. These girls are being awkward as hell while I'm talking to them."
Yeah. That's the because it's so like out of the ordinary to see people like see responses like that. So it's like, oh, this is fake, or like this is staged. Like no, like it's just no one ever thinks to ask someone that in the street. So that's why it seems staged. It seems fake.
And also, by the way, today, whoever does that, most of the people does fake it. Like today,
you can
because
tell.
the content. Yeah, you can
can
tell.
tell.
Basically, yeah, that's true.
Do you care about that? Like, do you care about people doing similar content, but like making it like a show instead of educational?
No, I mean, I don't care. Because there's like even some of the earlier pickup guys. I'm gonna forget their names. Simple Pickup. Again, I don't know if y'all are familiar. They used to have a huge YouTube channel, and theirs was real. It wasn't staged, but they did it from like a joking angle. But still, I think it's still like, even if I was watching that, I'd be like, oh man, they're having so much fun with this.
Yeah.
Like why do I need to be so like anxious and uptight if I'm gonna talk to a girl? I should probably have fun with this too.
So your content has stayed relatively, similar throughout the years, right? Like it's mostly like male improvement, education, and obviously you've added more like depth and complexity to the filming and editing. But like at the root, a lot of your or most of your videos are about educating like young men particularly. And you still do coaching, right? Like that's another one thing. One of your businesses, you do like actual courses still.
Yeah. So for we have a group coaching program. So it's like a smaller group of guys that's focused on dating and like confidence. Yeah, that's one of the businesses. Yeah.
Got you.
That's cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
That's like what's that movie? Hitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you say that's like your
It's a great movie.
play that role?
Well, the Hitch, it's like it's a good movie. It's a good movie. I love Will Smith, but it's like in person, him with like one guy. So with us, it's like more like, it's going to be like video calls, video calls a week, but there's multiple guys on the call. But yeah, there could be a parallel there.
That's awesome. No, that's
Better version coming on Netflix with David Howtobeast.
yeah, seriously. Yeah, fuck Will Smith. No, I'm kidding.
What's like who is like are some of your YouTube inspirations like moving forward? A lot of I see a lot of similarities in the way that you film, the way with Casey Neistat when he was filming, like just very intentional, very like cinematic. I know that word's overused a lot, but like I see a lot of similarities in that content. Is that someone that you would watch before?
Yeah. So funny story is at some point when I got to Austin, it was at first my videos were, and they're still educational to an extent, but at first like the whole video was really just kind of like giving advice or giving tips or telling a story, right? And they've transitioned more to being heavy kind of behind the scenes of businesses, like day in the life, just because there's only so many tips you can give. And that's more what my life is now, is kind of like trying to build these businesses. But I remember when I was getting the bottom half of the sleeve done, it was in Austin, and it was around the time I was trying to like.
By the way, I like that too.
Yeah, it's fucking sick.
I appreciate that. Yeah, no, this guy killed it. He's in Austin. While I was getting that done, it was around the time I was trying to like get more comfortable with like the day in the life vlog format. And this was probably, I don't know, 20 hours of work or something. And I literally just watched Casey Neistat videos the entire time and tried to pick out different like ways he was transitioning or different things he was doing verbally. Because when you watch one of his videos, they just flow so well.
Yeah.
Even though there's not like super high production quality, if you look at them, it's not like it's him by himself filming them usually. A lot of times it's like kind of like dirty cuts or like unclean cuts, but they work. And I was like, all right, let me see if I can study this and see why.
Yeah.
And I noticed things that, you know, back in the day, if I was filming, I'd be like, all right, so we're about to go to the gym, and then be in the car, like, all right, we're on the way to the gym now. They'd be like, in the gym, all right, we rolled up at the gym, and then, all right, we're about to work out. And you're like almost like narrating what you're doing. And one thing I noticed that Casey does is that he like, rather than like filling in all the blanks, he just like leaves large gaps. But as a viewer, you like naturally fill them in. He'll even cut himself like mid-sentence and then cut to something else, but you like still like, you follow it, and it makes it like a more seamless viewing experience. So that's like one thing I really tried to
So that was for me same about, I told you guys, David Dobrik, for example. Everyone's like, David Dobrik, this and that. I was like, what? I don't watch those kind of YouTubers. Like just say, watch one of his YouTubers. I binge like, literally I watched probably 50 immediately. And because it's like 4 minutes, he's just jumping to like, doesn't make sense. It's like what you just said. There's no transitions. There's just all of a sudden next day something's got, but it's so like attention. You just like
packs like 3 days into like 4 minutes.
So with that said, also I wanted to ask you already like a longer period of time on YouTube throughout that process. What do you think right now in this time, since YouTube started to be like really crowded and everything? What do you think like algorithms fucks with or whatever? What do you think that people, we are also, all of us are basically new. He's also starting right now his YouTube. I'm like maybe 2 years on YouTube. So what do you think like right now is the thing that people like to see the most, or that works?
Yeah, it's tough because YouTube definitely goes in like waves and trends. And so Max, y'all know right now I'm living with Max. Me and him talk about this a lot. And it's funny because I always mention that, you know, when I started like the male self-improvement advice, that was very like on trend at the time, and it was good timing. That's what like Alpha M, Teacher Men's Fashion, like they were like at their peak. And I like I always looked at my channel as like a remix of like, if you took those like talking head advice videos and remixed it with like a Christian or Max like fitness vlog, the cinematic, and it was some, and both of those were like on trend when I started. And I think that really helped the growth of the channel. There was like a remix of two things that people were enjoying watching. Over the last like couple of years, like YouTube definitely goes through cycles. Now, neither of those types of content, you don't really see that many dudes killing it with the talking head self-improvement videos. You don't see that many dudes killing it with like the straight up day in the life fitness vlogs. And I don't know if I can give like the best advice, because my head has just been like, I still keep stay consistent with YouTube. I still love it. But, you know, for the first 3-4 years, like I lived and I breathed it. The only thing ever in my head was, what's the next YouTube video? What's like each shot in that video going to be? Whereas now it's a balance of a lot of different things. And it's not like my full diet isn't 100% YouTube anymore.
Yeah. So is it a little discouraging because it's not like you're just like, you've seen the peak at what your channel was turning like views per video. And like, obviously because it goes in waves, like looking at like views and all that, like, does that get discouraging where you're like, I don't want to put as much effort into this, or I don't want to like, you know, because I'm not getting the same out of it.
Well, for sure it gets discouraging, right? Because it's something that like each video, even now, maybe not to the extent 2 years ago, and it's like literally the only thing on my mind, but even now each video takes some planning, some filming, some editing, and like seeing it all come together is like, each one's like, it's like one of my babies, you know what I mean? Like, it's like that's how you look at it. So it's tough when, you know, you rewind like a year ago and each video's get like 150, 200K. And like now it's, you know, it's less than that, but, I don't know. It's you know, it's like it's a balance, because on one hand that I can't say that doesn't like bother me, because it does bother me. But the businesses have steadily grown each year the last 3 years. And like realistically, that's more important to me now, because that's like the new challenge, the new frontier. But yeah, no, it's for 4 or 5 years, like the number of views was like my main, you know, my KPI, like my main validation analytic. And I thought it was one of those things like, oh, it only goes up or stays the same, like it doesn't go back down, right?
Yeah.
Because it's getting more crowded and more crowded. That's why basically, so people just like transfer to another people. I remember I was watching always the same people. Now I watch out.
Exactly. I also think it's the shifting demographic of the consumer as well, right? Like the people that you were speaking to 7 years ago now maybe don't spend as much time on YouTube because they now have a full-time job or a family or whatever it is. So like the audience, like the main audience, I would assume YouTube's a little bit younger, and the content they're consuming is not the same as maybe what it was.
Yeah, no, I think there's a few angles. I think that's one of them for sure. I think another one is for sure like Instagram Reels and TikTok have shortened people's attention spans, and now the types of videos that do well tend to be like David Dobrik or Jesse James West, and I love Jesse. It's a different type of content. It's more like super impactful, high energy, and it's like it's capitalizing. It's viral content. It's capitalizing on like a shorter attention span. So like that's not a content that I'm gonna shift towards making because it's just not something that makes sense for me with everything else I'm doing. Right. And with those video, but like if you look at Jesse, if you're saying like what's like the thing to do on YouTube now, it's probably look at someone like Jesse. Like each of his videos is a very, very clear focus. Like it's not like this is fitness vlog.
He's got it down.
It's not clickbaiting. Yeah. And then each one that has that like that, you know, that watchability, who even if you have no idea who he is, like you can watch, make it through the whole video.
His last video, like literally as soon as you press play, he's just talking right away. He's like, all right guys, we're at the beach, we're in Miami, we're doing a push-up like the first second. There's no intro, there's no like cinematic, like,
and then within 10 or 15 seconds, like the first interaction of like the content's already happening. Yeah,
it's like a Miami like push-up contest. Like the first minute, like you already see someone doing push-ups. It's like right to the action. And
but at the same time, it's like if you don't enjoy to do that, and that's a lot of pressure, because those kind of videos you need to plan. That's like it's a lot of work. So if you really don't enjoy those kind of videos doing by yourself, I would never basically recommend it. You know what I mean? If you want to be long term on YouTube, just like in my opinion, everything is about consistency. That's for sure. And like finding the niche that you love, that you enjoy. For example, as you said, right? And just enjoy the process. Like over the time, you're gonna develop your editing, develop everything around, like see how other people doing that better than you, and then you're gonna develop in that way. I would just say that. So stick for whatever works for you, whatever you enjoy, because you can't be so long on YouTube if you don't enjoy.
No, exactly. And I think now views are less important than they were. And I'd say that because in the past, when there was less competition, the views to some extent were easier to get. And I think that right now, the most important thing you can do is to like actually, it's almost like you're like Jesse on one extreme, and the other extreme you have like a Max. So it's just like you're only building like a relationship with your viewers, and even if you don't have that many viewers, you can still be like impacting people deeply. You can still have like dedicated customers who are going to be, you know, down to support you in different business ventures. And I think that's a more meaningful, like sustainable way to go about it, is not to worry about chasing the viral videos, but like to just be like passionate about the videos you're making, bring people into like the things that you care about. And also I think it's being very like humble too helps. That you know, this isn't as much anymore, but it was a thing when I got started. Everyone was so preachy, and like every YouTube video you watch was like, this guy's acting like he knows the secrets to like everything. But I think like by just being like very level-headed and just speaking from your own experience too, that's like those are good keys. Maybe not to making viral videos, but to like making strong like personal connections with the viewers. Yeah,
that's what I like the most. That's what I told them also. Like all of my videos, of course you can like, I know if I film today video like binge whatever 10,000 calories, that's gonna go like more views than I'm gonna filming today just a full day of eating, for example, right? But I don't enjoy it. Why would I sit down and push myself to
kind of forcing yourself?
Yeah, forcing myself to do that and not enjoying so much. And you just said like every single video you see like is your baby. I'm looking at all of my videos like a diary, you know, like literally. When I started 2 years ago, where I was there, like in Germany, for example, sitting in a freaking little room, you know, like started talking. That's like all of that parts. Been in, I don't know, in LA, worked out with Jesse, for example. I have that video, you know, that was like a year ago. Or
portfolio.
All of that. Yeah, just like I like to sometimes come back and see where I've been through. So those kind of like vlogs and everything with some kind of topic, of course. I love that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I have a different kind of question here. We touched upon it a second ago, but you're saying like the evolving like meta of social media is a lot of this short term like attention grabbing content, and that's spread across into all platforms, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Yeah. From your unique perspective of like the male psychology, that combined with lockdown during the pandemic, do you think that there's going to be long-term effects on like young men and their social ability moving forward?
That's a deep question, bro.
You had that one. You had that one.
I was waiting on that one because I think he'd be the best. Like,
no, that was a great question. Yeah.
So I just want to make sure I'm understanding it. You're saying that the effects of lockdown in general and like probably decreased socialization combined with the rise of really short form, like viral content, the effects on men long term of both of those things.
Yes. Whether that be relationship building, whether that be, like finding a like friendship, relationship with a significant other,
even kids out of school, you know,
yeah, like you go to a house party now, like, and they're like, how do I talk to people? What do I do?
How do I talk
without like having my phone in my hand?
Yeah, well, so actually, this is like in parallel to this. I think it was help us get to an answer.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago, I did a video. I was breaking down a study that shows that like over the past 10 years, the amount of men not having sex has tripled. Right. So like there's like triple the amount of virgins now than there was back in 2008. Well, this was as of 2018, and likely it's more than triple now.
Mm-hmm.
For women, it stayed the same. And I think that like with smartphones came Instagram, came Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, and in the past, if we're talking about like dating lives, in the past, I think that it's always been men's job kind of like to pursue the woman, right? Like you have to like talk to them, you have to set up the date. And in the past, with women, it would just happen with men who were like local to them because that's how there wasn't all these apps on your phone to do it. Whereas now, women are still having it happen locally, but they're also having it happen through their phone. So I think women are just way more aware of their options because of the nature of this. I think things are skewed a little bit easier for women, where they're probably still having, hooking up at a similar pace to back then, but they're probably just being a lot more selective in terms of how they're doing it. And then for guys, I think it's definitely shifted to something where if you have like a strong social, because that's kind of like the currency now, right? If you kind of have strong socials now, it's become probably easier for you to clean up more women because women are kind of holding out to get a guy who has that like
perceived value,
the perceived clout, right?
Right.
So I think for like most dudes, it's become harder dating just because of those things, and then that doesn't even get into the factors that you just mentioned in terms of COVID and in terms of like the viral content. But I think all this is aside from like the pandemic, all these other things are just like this type of content is just like this trend continuing. And the question I think is more like, does it even get like more and more and more short form and more viral to like with the point where
it's 5-second content,
like people are just like screaming in your face, like it's already like almost there, right?
Yeah, no, for real.
Or can it like swing back the other way and be more creative, and like even like you do a great job with this with a lot of the stuff you do, a lot of the reels you make. Like I saw the one you did with I think you're trying to make like NBA 2K with the young LA, and that's good because it's short form. That's epic, by the way. And if it's like real, for anyone who's played NBA 2K, you immediately kind of get drawn into it. That's a side note, but I liked that a lot. But hopefully it swings back towards like creativity. Not that creativity is not involved with these short term content, but hopefully like it swings back a little bit more to like a medium form, long form. Because I don't know how much like shorter it can get, man.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with just like. And I've been finding myself guilty of that even relatively recently. Like it's just that dopamine hit where like you're not doing anything. We'll pull out your phone and like, you pull up in Reels or something and immediately like you're stimulated.
Yeah.
But like eventually just that stimulation, like eventually you're going to want to like get some value from your content. You want to see art, like the video that you made, like that's genuinely it's art. It's like the angles, the storytelling, like that's the type of content that's going to inspire you to do something versus just watching someone on the.
But can we like have you guys seen that as a Netflix documentary? I forget what it's called, but it's going into like the algorithms of like Facebook and Instagram.
Social is that it?
Social experiment.
I need to watch that.
Is there a point in there that you want to?
I saw that.
Yeah, the point is that like that they've engineered these algorithms to like, regardless of who you are, they're finding a way to like hook their claws into you and just keep you scrolling, right? And I would pride myself in being someone who's like above that, but I probably waste at least 30 minutes to an hour a day scrolling through stupid reels that don't do. It's not like I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a good use of my time.
Let's me explore food.
But you think
the explore page.
There's a certain amount of personal responsibility we have to take as well, right? Like so, like the YouTube algorithm is brilliant. It knows your content will change based on what time of day. So like when I get ready for bed, it now starts showing me the content that I watch before I go to bed.
Yeah, me too.
It's so smart, and you got to realize that it's smarter than you, and you got to take a little bit of personal responsibility and be like, I'm gonna set these boundaries for myself, because at the end of the day, these companies, the amount of money behind it, the type of content, like it is smarter than you. So you have to So you have to find a way to take care of yourself.
I'm still very happy that there's like people like Christian, for example. Now Vaughn and Anthony also, they do a long like videos. I like those kind of videos to watch sometimes. You know, like when I come home after a longer day, I don't like to
It's like a TV
30
show.
minutes. Yeah, exactly. Just like chilled, like the type that they're doing. They're even not even like editing or anything. For example, Vaughn's videos, right? If
So
you watch
raw. They're just raw.
So raw, like no music, nothing, just a workout. He's showing his food, but that relaxes me kind of in the end of the evening. After a long day, I don't want to watch. I love Jesse, for example. I don't want to watch that in the end of the evening, like that kind of hyped things, you know. Maybe I'll watch that in the morning, but in the evening, I like those kind of like longer term, just like inside of someone's life, or I don't know.
Well, it's interesting because long podcasts have become more popular recently. Rogan's the most popular podcast, and I won't listen to it in one listen, but I'll listen to some 2-3 hour podcast, and that's very raw also. So I don't know, like, how come like that's become I don't know, you know, I don't really understand. That's something that I think
no one understands algorithm, to be honest.
I think
as far as concerning YouTube, I think no one still like quite understands.
I know
they understand what worked for them.
Yeah.
But overall, I don't think anyone like
what changes. Yeah.
I like a podcast that's just like background noise sometimes. I like just have it
I'll do it
on
while I'm
you know,
working or driving.
Right. And that's why podcasts work, because podcasts aren't competing with any of the other things directly, because you don't need to see anything. So right, like in your car ride, you can't watch YouTube, you can't watch TikTok, like in theory, but you can listen to a podcast. And like that's a very different form of like stimulation than listen like to music, for example. Like you feel like you're conversating, you're processing information, you're changing your perspective, you're learning. Like that's why podcasts are working, because it's in its own lane entirely. There's very few things competing with this hour-long content. And there's a very specific place for it.
I want to stick to like what we were talking about before, because we definitely have a big male audience. Like probably like 95% male. So like,
shout out to 5% females.
Yeah, shout out females. So what is your like best like advice? Like off the top of the head, someone asks you like, "What's? I'm having a hard time. Like, I just want to get out more. I want to meet girls. I want to talk to girls. Just give your like free knowledge that you're like off the top of the head." Can I
bookend that by saying, do you hate that question? It's sort of like the how do you get started? Like, what advice do you have for men in general?
Just like in general, like we have a big male audience. Like, what's the best advice you can give them for wanting to talk to girls more, wanting to get out more, wanting to
not being a bitch?
Yeah, stop being a bitch. Yeah.
So, okay. Well, two things come to mind. I think first, when you just say like off the top of your head, like best advice, maybe not specifically related to dating, is that like for me, my life changed when I was able to start looking at it as like an ongoing experiment. Meaning that like when I graduated, I got the software job. Like I felt like I was like pot committed. Like I had invested. This was like the path I was going to take, and like I had to pry myself away from that first job. But once I like quit that job and then started personal training, then blogging, I tried podcasting briefly, then YouTube, and then I started moving from like one location to the other. But like the sooner that I got into this mindset of like, not that like life's not that serious, but that like it's the more things I try, like the happier I get and the more excited I get about life. That's what changed my life. I think too many people still get really set on like, no, this is like the path I'm supposed to take. And that might not just be like a career job. It might be that someone's like, no, this podcast is like what I have to do. It has to be this podcast. Like experiment a little bit. Definitely. I mean, I know all y'all have relocated where you moved, and I imagine for all y'all that's been like pretty impactful, right? Just getting away from your hometown. Yeah. Like
change everything.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Change literally everything.
I think that's like a bare minimum. Like get away from your hometown, try a second career, bare minimum, and then like you won't even recognize yourself in 5 years, because that's gonna like unwind this whole like ball of yarn. You don't even know where you're going. But I feel like that's the way to. At least for me, that's the way to live.
The confidence is definitely something that plays.
That's a clip.
Not even talking. Like when you're confident, like people can feel that, right? But to come to that point, that's like if you can say to people, what do you think like people need to do in order to like get confident?
Well, I think confidence is confidence. I used to always look at it as like, oh, like I just want to be like confident, but then I'll be like badass and I'll get girls. But I think like once I understood, at least to me, confidence is like just trusting that like. That my future self will be able to handle different situations. Like then I started getting more confident. Like in terms of girls, if you're someone who's like really afraid of talking to girls, for me, it took me just like forcing myself at first to talk to a bunch of girls, and maybe there's more efficient ways to do it. But it was just like, I made a rule for myself every day. I'm going to approach one girl. If it's at the gym, if it's at the grocery store, if it's when I'm walking down the sidewalk, I'm going to stop a girl and try and talk to her. And the funny thing is, in today's society, you don't even necessarily need that skill because of online dating and Instagram and things like that. But if you're someone who's not that confident with girls, like I almost explain it to guys, but it's still like practice.
Yeah,
even if you don't actually
valuable.
meet girls who you date this way, like if you can get comfortable.
What's the worst that can happen? No.
Well, so that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say everyone that just heard that and thinking, oh, I approach one girl per day. Oh my god. Can you actually share the worst experience ever approaching a girl? Like what's the worst thing that ever happened?
It doesn't matter what they say, right? The worst is that at first you start to like internalize it as like, see, I'm an unattractive guy. Like, see, it's never like that's the worst is like how you internalize. Externally, I mean, when me and my buddies in Boston were going really hard, we had some girls like fucking yell at us and like slap us and like
you got slapped.
Yeah, just doing dumb pickup lines and like bars, man. But realistically, it's not. It's like something you can like laugh off.
Right.
Don't tell your buddy about.
Here we are, right here.
But generally, the worst that's gonna happen is she's gonna be like, I have a boyfriend, or be like, and just not even talk and like not even say anything.
And guess what? You're never gonna see that chick again. So
Yeah, that's true.
Do you feel like it's like frowned upon now, like the physical, like going up to a girl?
No, I don't think so. I think it's it's all if you're just like it's about like your nonverbals though, right? Because like at first when you're nervous doing it, it's gonna come across as creepy. Like nothing about it, because you're gonna like be.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's almost like girls are like, wait, this guy's weird. Why is he coming up to me? Like, but no, like you just want to say hi. Like you want to get to know someone. Like because they're so used to now DMs and they're just used to like the text messages and everything. It's almost like weird to have like a normal conversation with someone, like approaching someone.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you got to make it natural, but at first you can't make it natural until you get like discomfortable, even just like physically like being there, right?
Yeah,
and at first,
physically being in front of them. Yeah.
And at first, I was always in this like military mindset where like if I don't approach a girl right here, like this, you'll go home, you'll be mad at yourself, bro. So then, of course, like the approach comes out as just like hey, like, and then the girls, of course, like,
and that's like
we're going on a date. Fuck are you?
David.
Dinner, 8 p.m. Do you think you could?
You get past that, the point, right?
Yeah.
So if you get genuinely comfortable with it, it can come across as a lot more natural. Like a lot of guys ask at the gym how you do it. It's like, well, go up and just like it could be she's working out, like go to like the machine next to her, the bench next to her. So if that's immediately gonna make it feel natural no matter what you say, because now it's not just like you're like going across the gym floor. Now it's like, it's like a casual turn of the head.
And like the goal shouldn't be to sleep with her that day. Like just start the conversation, right? Like, hey,
get the foot in the door.
What's up?
Yeah.
And then you'd be surprised, like that girl, like you're trying to talk to. You never know. Maybe she's waiting for you to come say hi.
In most of the cases, actually, it is like that.
Yeah.
And most of the people don't get like born with the confidence, right?
I was gonna say, can you teach confidence?
I will say before is in my opinion, like for example, more you do, more confident you get.
Yeah.
So either doesn't now like needed to be necessarily connected with the woman, right? If you want to get more confident, like set the little goals throughout the day, right? Every single day, and every day you fulfill that goals, and like literally every single day that you put something in your head, like I want to do this, at least one thing, and you do it. Day after day, that builds confidence. That builds confidence.
Well, you're building that trust in yourself.
Yeah,
you're like,
exactly.
I want to do this.
I can actually do that.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, and now I'm like, after a year, I'm like, I can do whatever I want. Actually,
I mean, I think it helps a lot too to like put yourself in just different environments. So like, I learned a couple different martial arts. I'm not like a master at them, but like I trained a few different martial arts for a few different years, and that's like you're now going into this gym. It's kind of intimidating. So you're gonna get your ass whooped the first few times you spar, but then you start to like, then maybe you do that for 5-6 months and you're like, okay, now like that's something I thought it wasn't possible. Now I can do that.
Yeah.
Or like I've been messing around like learning like backflips and different types of flips lately, but it's the same thing where it's like at first I'm like, I can't do this. Like I'm gonna break my neck. I can't do this. But then like you like will take yourself through the steps and you're like, oh, I'm doing a backflip now. And it's like it starts to like naturally. So it doesn't just have to be approaching girls, even though I think it helps if it's something you're nervous with. But
anything,
just like pick things that are like that seems cool, but it's kind of scary. And then just like do more of those things. Make a habit of doing those.
Try
things.
it. You do it, and then before you know it, you're teaching it. It's a fucking cycle.
Well, then you also rewire your brain that you like see those opportunities. Now, whenever like something like that comes up, like when the backflip thing came up, I forget how it first came up.
Max did it first?
No, me and Max, we were like, I think we just. Well, I was messing around like on like a boat, and I was like, "Oh, let me see if I can backflip in." And I kept like twisting, and then like once I realized I couldn't do it, I was like, "Fuck, I got like now I have to figure this out."
So you also go like him, like to learn in that, like
that happened a few months later, where we went to like the actual like tumbling gym and had a guy like teach us how to not like twist when we're backflipping. But
Me and you can film that actually.
you want to learn that?
No, because I drove BMX. I was doing backflips and front flips on the BMX, and I was celebrating goals actually with the like stupid things and backflips. But I'm like a pussy right now, really big pussy. I can't do that. I'm like, if I do a backflip, I'm gonna break my neck. I don't know why. I'm scared right now to do anything. So I need to just like come back to, for example, and then just like figure it out and
start from the beginning.
Start from the beginning. Oh, that would be cool actually. That would be cool.
I'm down.
That's a good way to pick up a girl, right? Backflip.
Yeah. Just like, hey, what's up?
Just land. You're like, hey.
I think what you like the nugget in there was basically like do things that kind of scare you, but that you want to do.
Make a habit of like when something kind of scares you, and
go get that.
Even if it's like things always come up where like an uncomfortable conversation where it's easy to avoid it, right? Like maybe it's with a friend, maybe it's with like a girl you're dating, maybe it's with someone you work with, but it like pops into your head like I should probably go like have this conversation, but then immediately like this can be awkward. Like I'll just, I'm not gonna do. But just like I made a habit, like in those situations, like whatever, I'll just pick up the phone and just like do this.
Overthinking is a big problem. Yeah. Overthinking for the most of the people, right?
Yeah,
they're
of course.
Like analyzing everything. What if? Just try.
Yeah.
The worst case scenario, okay, you can get slapped, but isn't usually no. Like so, you're never gonna even see that.
It's a lot of trial and error, trying things and seeing what happens, and then learning from it.
Yep.
But I want to do more. I want to give more like male advice because I know we have a big male audience. And this is like a different topic that we never really spoke
Joe
about.
is asking for himself.
No, yeah.
I have a friend.
I have a friend.
I'll be honest. I feel like guys are scared to admit that they need help, like from someone like you.
Well, part of it's also being able to like, because until I like embrace the fact that I was like, look, I'm not really happy where I'm at in my life. Like I only get girls when like I'm drunk at the right college party, and I'm kind of afraid to like express myself around other people. Until you got to like start by being like real with yourself and be like, all right, if I'm being like very honest and very real, like where am I at? And then like, okay, so does that mean that I now have to like, if I'm gonna have to actually like work to like learn how to get girls? And something that was actually powerful for me was like when you're working on these things, like sharing it with friends around you, because I think naturally we want to like hide it, like oh no, I'm just I can get girls. Like I'm just not trying right now, bro. You know, like I'm just not in that mindset. But when I started telling my friends, I went out like, look, I'm trying to like get better talking to girls. So if you see a cute girl, like point her out. Then I was like I had like signed the accountability check where they'd be like, all right, that girl. I'd be like, all right, fuck, I gotta go talk to that girl now. Yeah. But like be like owning the fact that you want to like get better at something, I think can help you get better at it too, because then you're not lying to like yourself and people around you about it. And that's not just with girls, but with anything.
We're seeing your friends do something and like, oh shit, like dude, like.
But that's also definitely part of lack of confidence. If you like don't want to receive any kind of advice from someone else because you think you know the best, is actually like lack of confidence. Because if I'm confident first, of course, I want to actually hear what you're saying. I want to hear your advice, even though I think in my head that I know everything. No, I don't.
Admitting that like I actually need some help.
You can always learn. You can always basically learn.
But we still like subconsciously will fight against it. Like something I see happen a lot with these the guys who come into our coaching program, right? Is obviously they've admitted to some extent that that's something they want to work on because they joined the program and they made an investment in it. But then like on the coaching calls, they'll be telling me about some situation. I'm trying to think of an example. Well, the point being, like, they'll tell me about some situation, and I'll be like, all right, so, like, from my perspective, like, it's probably gonna make sense to, like, do this, this, and this. And they're like, yeah, but I think I'm just gonna do this. And it's like, well, like, you can do that, but, like, you're gonna be in the exact same spot you are now. Like, so maybe it's like a guy who, there's a girl who he kind of knows and he likes her, and he's like, all right, so I think if I'm gonna invite her to, like, this party I'm having next month, and then, like, the month after that, me and my friends are gonna go to the beach, and I'll invite her there. I'm like, or you could just ask her to hang out this week, and he'd be like, yeah, but I don't know. I'm like, well, like we tell ourselves lies like we know best, but we're like doing it to like as like a protective mechanism to justify taking like the really, really, really safe route.
Yeah.
And like at that point, the girl already has in her head if she would go on a date with him or not, and it has nothing to do with the beach or the party, right?
Or
like either she's going to do it or
like
she's
where
not.
the date is, like, it's just,
right?
If
and so you might as well figure it the fuck out.
Well, I think that's another thing is like always erring. There's another rule I made for myself. Like I'm always going to take like the more aggressive or more like risky route in life, whether that's with girls or with other things. Just like as a rule, like no, like obviously if it's like an obvious choice, it's an obvious choice. But if it's like I'm not sure what I should do, like let's just do the more risky thing because at least I'll learn a lesson along the way.
That develops over time, like with anything. Like even me, like now with like camera equipment, like I'm not like, oh, how much is it? Fuck it, put it on the card. Like, because now I built the confidence, like.
But you're also like
that
you're
I trust
reinvesting
myself,
mentally into like you're making a habit of like fuck, we're gonna take it to the next level.
Yeah, with
It
anything.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We're gonna take it to the next level.
because I built trust in myself that like I accomplish anything that I put my mind to.
Yeah, you're the example of what I was saying, like right now, that little goals. And because when you came living with me and Harry in the beginning, you had a struggle. And I was always telling you, bro, you need to like charge people, like your quality is like, you can't just like work around, jump around.
I had no confidence.
And
I was like,
I'm
not
and then over the
professional
time
yet.
you
Like,
saw that everyone actually likes your content, everyone likes what you do. So that's like every single day you did more.
It
And
takes time.
And now like
a year ago, the guy, me a year ago, and me today is fucking two different people.
I remember, bro. Remember you like
he was scared. He was like, I don't think this is
Fucking
gonna work.
pussy, man.
Yeah.
All right, I got a question. So
Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna sign up for your course, right? All right, so before I came to Texas, right, I had a girlfriend for 2 years.
Yep.
And I love her. Like we were, it was a rocky relationship, but
Should we
I
shout
had
out
to,
her or no?
I had to leave her. I had to leave her to come here. Like I had to.
You ended it as part of moving here.
Like we had to part ways in order for me to come here.
Yeah.
And obviously she's in New York and I want to come to Texas. Like, what do you say to guys who are like fearful of, they're holding on to their relationship to sacrifice doing something like they want to do? So like they're staying in their relationship even though they know they have to like start that job or let go in order to start this, or like what do you say to guys who are holding on to something that, and they're scared of letting go because of this and this?
Yeah, I have a close friend who just went through this, and it's like
Me too.
It's been going on for a while, and he finally cut it off. But it's happened before that it's been cut off and like falling back into it. So I'm hoping he stays away.
Yeah.
But I think
Motherfucker.
I think you got to realize that, because at the end of the day, you got to ask yourself like, okay, like how come like I'm not able to pull the trigger on this? Like how come I can't leave this girl, even though I think logically I understand and everyone around me is telling me, if I have good friends at least, that like, look, bro, like this clearly you're gonna have a better life if you kind of like part ways and do your own thing. You have to ask yourself like, okay, like well, like why can't I leave her behind? I think for most guys, it's gonna come to like basically a fear that they're not going to like find that like type of connection and that type of comfort with another girl again. Like I think people just genuinely start to believe like, no, if it doesn't work out with this girl, like I'm like, it's, I don't know, maybe
the world's over. Like, that's it. Like
maybe I'll be able to move, or I'll be able to make this career move. And like, there's some cool things, but then I'm never gonna have like a girl like that again. And I think like the simplest way to look at it is like, okay, so then you're just gonna like decide the rate that you're gonna make a decision for the rest of your life just like based on fear. Like you're just gonna like live the rest of your life based on fear then.
Yeah.
And like you gotta look in the mirror. I think it's hard to like consciously tell yourself, okay, I'm just gonna like decide the rest of my life because I'm a little bit afraid of this.
Right.
And it's also bullshit. There's fucking unlimited hot girls out there.
and also
that.
listen, like, okay, you should listen to yourself, right? Always. But like your closest people that are all the time with you and know you, if they don't like that person, that's usually actually correct.
Well, if you have good friends,
yeah.
If you have good friends who you look up to and you're like, okay, these guys are like doing things with their life and they're telling you that means something.
Exactly.
Now, if you have a bunch of like bum friends who, and maybe they're great dudes, but they're a bunch of bum friends. Yeah. The advice they're giving you might not mean anything. They might even be saying like, bro, she's a good girl. You got to stay. I mean, I don't know in this situation, but
for example, three of us, we live together. We know each other a lot. Like if someone is with some wrong person, we will like probably say each other. And in the end of the day, it's always correct.
Usually
like,
it's
just a matter of time. Yeah. It's just a matter of time.
I think that's a really good point though. Like it does have a lot to do with who you surround yourself with, right? Like who are you taking advice from?
Yeah.
That's very important, right? Like, like you said, if your friends are not the people that you want to be when you grow up, then don't maybe not take their advice.
Yeah.
What do they say? Like you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with. Like
well,
that's
it happens with our
that's
parents
fact.
too, right? And I think we all like love our parents for the most part. Sometimes our parents maybe, I think it's common is if you're trying to pursue like an alternate lifestyle or alternate career, that they may like judge a little bit or put some different expectations on you, or maybe they want you to stay with that girl because they like her. I think that's common too, but then you also have to look, and it's tough to be honest about this, but like, do you want the life your parents have? And maybe you do, and then that's okay, but maybe you don't. And then like you need to be able to like separate their advice from their love. And you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I think the biggest thing, and it sort of has to do with what you were saying before, like people like leaving the girl or moving somewhere, whatever it is, like people, I think have this tendency to think of the worst case scenario and think that that's what's going to happen every time.
Yeah.
And like how many times when you've made those leaps, when you've done those things, like did the worst case scenario happen, it's almost
But you also have to
never.
flip it on its head and be like, okay, what's the other worst case
Exactly.
scenario that I stay with this girl? Okay,
Right.
maybe
Sure.
I get married. We have two kids.
Yeah.
We're not happy, and then I have like a divorce, and
Yeah.
I'm paying like alimony and child support. Like, at least think about that other. At least think about the other worst case scenario too.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we always get caught in like comfortability and being like, oh, if change happens in any direction, this I could lose this, or this could go terribly. Like we just always in our heads we're thinking about like the worst case scenario.
Dude, I'm thinking like, oh, she's gonna move on. Like I'm gonna be sad. I'm gonna be.
I'm not
I'm
gonna
see her on
make it.
Instagram with a different guy.
Yeah, I'm not even thinking like, dude, I can go fucking meet Christian Guzman, work for Young LA. Like that wasn't even a thought. I'm
You
thinking
think
like
about
all
who
this
your girl's fucking.
dumb negative shit. Like
Yeah.
I'm not even thinking of all the positive things that could happen if I move on. Like
But if your goal was straightforward and you believed in yourself, you wouldn't even think about it. You know what I mean? Like that's
That's true.
that's
true.
a part
You
of it
weren't
for
super sure.
Yeah,
You weren't super sure.
I was so unsure
Well,
about everything in my life. Like
if you're really passionate about something, for example, let's say YouTube, and for whoever is on that path, even your families, if they tell you like don't do it, and you still think that's for you, I won't listen to anyone, to be honest.
Well, Joe, it sounds like is that potentially the best decision you made in your life to leave that girl and move down here?
oh, it literally changed my life.
And then
Like,
I would say
for the
similar-
better.
Yeah. And when I left that job that like I couldn't pry myself away from, and again, it was all fear. Like that was the best decision of my life.
Yeah.
So I think that you also have to, a lot of times have to like realize, you can't really realize it, but I mean, it doesn't hurt to hear it. I don't think you're at one of these crossroads. Like it's probably going to be the best decision of your life. And you're probably going to look back in a few years and be like, holy shit. Like I'm living this insane life now because I was able to like break free from that
had happened,
situation.
yeah.
You know, even on top of that too, let's say you go and you make that leap and it doesn't work. You are never questioning what would have happened if you had tried.
Well,
So, like,
that's what gave me the confidence too, because I was like, if this all doesn't work out, I can still come back and get like a traditional job in 3 years. It's not the end of the world.
and you tried, and you're not going to be in that traditional job thinking, what if 2 years ago I left?
Yeah.
Right. That's the thing. Like I like regret. Fuck that. man.
Regret is the scariest thing. That's the thing I'm most scared of is like living with regret.
Well, you don't want to be like fast forward, like, okay, now I'm 30, now I'm 40, now I'm
Right.
50. And like now
What if when I was
I'm
20?
like just turning into like this bitter old fucking man who like is just because like I'm mad at myself for my whole life.
Exactly. And I think that's where this cyclical, like shitty advice comes from bitter old people who didn't do their shit. And now they're telling you not to because they didn't do that shit.
Who you
know
get
what
your
I'm
advice from is everything. 'Cause
Yeah.
you got someone who lived a life that they didn't really like, and they're gonna give you shitty advice.
saying? Right. Like
that's
when you're older, all the kids you talk to, I promise your advice is going to be, go do that, go pursue that dream, like go do that thing. You know?
No, you're right. I think that's a good point. Is that probably I'd imagine it's a majority of people who are giving this recycled old cyclical advice because of that, because they're mad at themselves. It's like if you have a friend who's like really sucks with girls, and you have like a chance to hook up with like a hot girl, like he might not even acknowledge it, but like he's probably like resenting you a little bit because you have this chance, and he's probably gonna be like, man, that girl's not worth it. Like let's just like hang out, play NBA tonight. You know what I mean? Like it's like, but that's like the same idea.
Yeah. I think, I mean, that's just in general, the root of a lot of just general negativity is people just projecting their own insecurity about not pursuing what they want to pursue, or like people hating on the internet. Like,
and you prove them wrong.
at their core, a lot of it is the fact that they probably want to do that themselves. That's why they're consuming your content.
But that's a good point on hate, because this is actually a stoicism thing. I got Marcus Aurelius in my arm here. But
yeah.
one of the things that it was either him or Seneca, who was one of the other big Stoic philosophers, but they were saying like when people are like hating on you or insulting you, which is very common today, I'm sure all of y'all have dealt with it, right? On social media. And psychologically, a lot of times we'll focus only on like the negative comments, right? You can like scroll past like 100 positive comments, you see one negative one, you're like, oh man, is he right though? Is he right about me?
Yeah, exactly.
That's literally my life, bro.
Am I a pussy?
You have to like consider like, okay, who is the person like giving this advice? And obviously through the internet, you can't see exactly who they are, but I think it's pretty safe to say these are people who are not that happy with themselves, or else they wouldn't have spent the time to like watch someone that they don't like, and then more time to leave a comment trying to make that person feel bad about themselves. Yeah. And if that's that type of person, if that person was praising you, it would actually be like concerning, right? Like if someone who's that shitty of a person is like praising you, like you'd probably be like, it's actually a good thing that someone like that's hating on you.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
I agree. I agree with that. And with the sorry, I have a question. With the regrets, does anyone on this table have any like that did pull a trigger, or they didn't pull a trigger? For example, regrets in their life.
My regret is not doing it sooner.
I think that's the main
I
one.
wish I can get back like 3 years of my life.
I don't agree. So another stoicism thing is just all about being in the present, and like regretting not doing anything sooner is useless because it's not possible. It's, you know, you did it when you did it.
It was
and
just
that part of your journey.
Yeah.
And everything that led up to that point it had to happen for you to leave when you did leave. You know what I'm saying?
No, that all had to happen.
Yeah.
I think my biggest regret is when I was a kid, I quit playing soccer and I was really good. And my dad played pro soccer in Spain actually, and he was coaching me. And I quit playing soccer because it was like the cool thing to play like baseball instead. And that's the only thing. It's like a funny thing. That's like my biggest regret in life. It's like I wish I had seen
And what else, bro? Like you broke a leg or something? Like,
I literally have almost the same one. But now when I'm talking right now, if you ask me that like year before, I will say, yeah, that's my biggest regret. It's not anymore because in that way I wouldn't be here, right? Where I am right now. But I started soccer, then I signed professionally, then I stopped, drove BMX. And then I came back and I got an offer from a second Bundesliga. This was Offenbach Kickers in that time. There was a second Bundesliga, which is like
that's a German league.
Yeah. And I was 18 or 19, literally just came back to the soccer. And my parents were like, how are you going to live by yourself? How are you going to cook? How are you going to iron your shit and this and that? And I was like, what? I'm doing that like since I was 16, whatever. I'm cooking my meals. And they were repeating that back to back. And so I was like going to sleep every night. I was like, well, my parents are probably right. You know, they're your parents. So, and I didn't go there. And my career will probably be totally different. Who knows? Yeah. But that was in that time, like my biggest regrets because I listened to my parents and okay, now it ended up being good because I'm here. But in that moment, like I was just like, I shouldn't do that because if I did, my career will probably go different paths and everything. So not anymore regret, but yeah.
But you bounce back past. That's painful. You bounce back past it.
Yeah.
But they don't get it. Like they don't get it. Like when I told my parents what I wanted to do, like they're like, "What? That's not a job."
But to be fair, to put yourself in their shoes, how could they get it?
But how
you can't expect them to be like, yeah, I get it. That makes sense. You should move to Texas.
But
Like,
when someone
take
repeats
photos.
that back to back, you start like I was like, what are you talking about? I don't care. And I'm literally like calling my manager. I'm going there, and then like back to back every day. I go to sleep. It's in my head. You know, it's in my, and I'm starting rethinking myself. Can I really do that? Like, can I start rethinking? Because if someone is like repeating that to you, and I will never listen anymore. I will just like you know.
Well, I think an important skill is also learning to like process regret because it's gonna happen. Even like beginning of this year, like January, when like stocks were all time high, like I dumped so much money in, and I'm like still down so much. And for like weeks, I was just like, oh, what the fuck? Like, I shouldn't have listened to this financial advisor at the bank. Like, but like you eventually have to like, at least for me, I have to eventually like find like something from the regret that like can be like a lesson I can lean on going forward. And in like this case, it's like, well, I need to like dollar cost average each month and never just invest like a bunch in 1 month. Doesn't make sense, right? But you have to like, for me, that might, whenever like the regret comes into my mind, I'm like, well, no, I know what I learned the lesson. I'm never gonna make that mistake again because of that.
Right. Exactly. And if you never made that mistake, you wouldn't.
I probably would have made the mistake another time. Anyway.
You would have made the mistake in a different way, and it could have been even worse, right? Like I always think like.
No, we're good.
Yeah, I always think like, however bad that could have been, it was a lesson to be learned. So that way, 5 years later, you didn't make that mistake times 10.
Pain is like the only like real teacher. Like unless you have like pain associated with something, usually you'll keep doing the wrong thing.
That's a fucking really good point.
You feel that and you remember that every single time.
That's really true with dating and girls because you can like keep like. You know, you like over texting a girl and like simping out over text and she stops replying and she flakes on the date. But
I'm sorry.
But I've probably done that like 40, 50 times before I was like.
Text go green.
What's the most painful experience you've had that you're comfortable sharing that's shaped your perspective? Whether that be in dating, whether that be in business. Yeah, I'm going crazy right now.
I mean, a lot of the pain started with my dating life and just like, especially in college, seeing all my buddies like with girlfriends or hooking up with a bunch of girls, and I just felt like helpless. So like, I mean, just like that whole experience. And then I lost my virginity on my 21st birthday, which is probably later than average. And when I was hooking up with the girl, she like kneed me in the balls as we were changing positions, and she was like getting on top of me, and so like it was like a tragic ending to like my first experience.
Wait, it ended there. That was it. You're like, I'm done.
And so for like another like year and a half after that, bro, I didn't even try. I was like, this shit ain't worth it, man. Like that was awkward as hell.
Fucking knee in the balls.
Fuck sex, bro.
Dude, that's so funny.
That is literally a painful experience.
I don't want to skip this point. Like, so how do you balance work and your relationship?
So with Julie is my fiance. It's so now she works with me, in the sense that like she manages like different parts of the businesses. So
I'm sure that's easier.
It's easier and it's harder, right? It's easier because like we're not like, I remember when we first moved down to Texas and she was working as like a school therapist and I was at YouTube and I was starting the clothing brand a few years ago. With that, it was almost the opposite challenge because like I just wasn't seeing her that much, and then she'd get home, she'd be tired, and I'd be like out filming, and then she'd go to bed early, I'd go to bed late because I was working on stuff. But then once she started working with me, it's easier like logistically, and like whenever we want to travel, we can travel. But now it's more of like having like during stressful times, like not taking it out on her when things aren't going well, just because like it's shitty, but it's like a lot of times it feels like the natural instinct when things are like the pressure's on and like she does something that's like I don't see is exactly right, like just like not snapping at her in those moments, and probably vice versa for her. But that's probably the biggest challenge now. Luckily, I love it. I could spend all day with her, whatever, you know. But
like that was my biggest thing was time with my relationship. I was devoting so much time to myself, like learning, editing, and shooting, and I wasn't really there for the relationship as much as I should have been. So for people that don't like have it like you, where you literally work with her, and like people that the two
that
different,
took a few years to get to. Yeah.
So it's just so hard. Like,
but it's so I think it's
when you get approached with like you're not making enough time for me. Like, how do you handle that? Like, what's the first thing you should do?
Well, right now it depends where you are in life, also, right? Because like right now it seems like you're in the fucking grind phase, and you're like your balls to the wall.
I don't have any time for a girl right now. Like no time.
Well, I think it's just being honest with girls about that too, you know, and eventually maybe you'll meet a girl who like
they'll respect it.
You genuinely, she understands, and B, maybe you really like her enough to the point that you're gonna like try and like, you know, make a little more time here or there. But I think all men have to go through a fucking like balls to the wall grind phase that. I mean, for me, it's been lasting many years now, but I think like I think that's also necessary, in that you wouldn't want to sacrifice that. That's not like you wouldn't want to look back and regret that you just like, because there's like a hot girl who was down to hang out, that you just like when you were like hitting the stride in your fucking career, and then like you gave it up. So, I mean, I think you can find a girl who understands, or if not, just kind of like casually date until you're at a point where you're like, okay, I'm like really kind of established now. I have people working for me now, and now I do have a little more time.
Right now, I'm like brutally honest. Like if I meet a girl and we hit it off, we go out. Like I'm not looking for a relationship right now. Like I let it be known, because I like to separate myself mentally from that. Like, because I know right now,
if she doesn't support it, then she isn't the right one.
I know right now, like I'm not. There's no time for a relationship. I got to be a little selfish right now in my life with the point.
It could be if you like have that support, and it's even like maybe she helps you with something. You know what I mean?
I didn't find
like,
that girl yet, bro.
No, I know.
Trust me, you found that. I didn't find anyone that special yet, but
you gotta find someone who, but it's a numbers game, dating people, man. And there's nothing wrong with just dating casually. Like, there's a lot of upside. You have more freedom when you're dating casually. I mean,
one piece of advice that I got a long time ago that I really value is the girl of like, if there's a girl of your dreams, if that girl exists, you have to be the man that she would want to be with as well. So like, even if the girl you really care about, you want to keep her, you want her to be around forever, you need to provide that value that makes her want to be with you. So you should have a career. You should be like able to support her. So like you said, like maybe leaving a situation where you're not like the girl that I love the most, like I would want to make sure that I can take care of her. She's got a great life, all these things. And so if I'm not in that position at that moment, like I've got shit to do. I've got work to do on myself. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. 100% makes sense. Like, that was me. Like I was like, I want to do more for myself. I want like,
if you're not happy, you can't make anyone else happy.
Yeah, I'm like, bro, I want to get a better job. I want to chase my dreams. Like let's.
And you want to be able to be in a place where maybe you can support her with a career, and you can be with her. You can give her 80% of your time versus 10%.
But she needs to be that person that you are just saying right now. She needs to see that. So you know what, and be supportive about it.
The other side of this, but the different relationships all follow kind of like different arcs, right? The other side of this, because I kind of like built myself up while dating Julia, and I do so that there's a lot of like, you know, red pill people who you hear say that the flip side of this is once you're like a really successful dude, you're gonna start to question every girl's motivations. You're gonna like start to be like, this is like a gold digger. Like, she's kind of like you know what I mean? So so not that, but you can't control that. I think the more important thing from my experience, from my perspective, is like just like have a rule that you're just gonna date casually, but then like if it happens that there's a girl that's like months, like with Julie, it was like we tried to date casually. I didn't want a relationship. She didn't want she was just out of a long relationship. And it was like 6 months later, and we were like, all right, what the fuck are we doing? We might as well try this. But like, but I think if you like kind of like stiff arm girls away, so to speak, and like try and like be like, no, like you're saying, set the expectation. I'm just trying to keep this casual, but like it's slapping you in the face after some months. Like, maybe that's the one to give a shot.
That's my like I got my guard up so high. I feel like
I don't think it's a bad
am I gonna
thing.
wake up and be 30 and like fuck wait I gotta date. I gotta start dating. Like I don't know. It's
But if
hard
you
right
don't
now.
feel it, you don't feel it. It's just like
Also, I'm not gonna force it. Like, I'm not gonna
exactly.
force something. You know.
Also, all of you guys out there, make sure you got your homies' backs. If he's in a shitty relationship, don't just talk about it behind his back. You guys need to talk to this dude and be like, here's what we've noticed. We've known you for a long time, and here's what we think is best for you. And at that point, it's up to him. But if you're also the guy on the receiving end of that conversation, don't just brush that off.
Oh yeah,
That's your
me and
boys that
Harry
care
beat
about
the
you.
shit out of Joe when he came here. Yeah, every
Beat it
single
out of
day.
him.
Yeah.
That was bad.
And we talk shit.
I had to just let go, put some Blue Mountain in the hair, and just fucking get back on the scene, bro. All right, we're going left.
All right.
Anything else you want to? Last closeout question. What does the word or phrase "leaving a legacy" mean to you? What's the legacy that you want to leave?
Yeah, we'll do it after live. Do it after
Afterlife,
life.
that one.
All right, you can think about that.
Yeah, think about it.
Marinate.
What time is it? 12:30.
That's perfect. It's weird for me to be at this time at home, bro.
I'm gonna have to apologize to my 12 o'clock phone call.
But I like it.
Screen record.
Aaron, you got it? Screen record.
Oh, you're dope.
You don't have screen record?
Crazy.
Yo.
Who doesn't have screen record?
Good morning.
I guess
Good morning.
Joe
Good
could
morning.
do it, too.
Someone said, "Is it David Lade?" It's David Lade.
Not David Lade.
No, it's not David
David
Lade.
Lade, David Lade with a beard.
The question is like, how
Yo.
much you pull on a deadlifts conventional?
All right, who's joining? What we got?
What's your squat, bench?
Yeah, we got
and
40
deadlift
people.
PR? Actually,
Oh, you don't even do that.
I know. I used to. I never went for like single PRs. I think my like 5 rep max for squat was 405.
Oh, that's all. That's a lot.
Yo.
Bench 275.
Joe, bro.
What up, dude?
hey, screaming into the mic, bro.
Where you at? What state are you in?
Virginia.
Virginia. Damn.
The DMV.
Yorktown, VA.
Yeah, we got David. We got Howtobeast here. Do you have a you got a question for David?
You have a question. What is the hardest thing you've been through,
Ooh,
and how did you get through it?
Ooh,
Damn.
good question. Virginia.
Like the most difficult challenge you've ever faced.
That's a good question.
How'd you overcome it?
It's similar to what you were talking about back in college. The hardest situation would probably be just feeling like I was 10 years behind my peers in terms of their dating lives.
Take it away from the mic. Yeah,
Oh, okay. We good?
you're good.
Yeah, it would probably be just feeling like I was like 10, 20 years behind my peers in terms of my dating life, and just feeling like I had no idea what to do in terms of meeting girls, attracting girls, and just feeling completely lost, and seeing my friends succeed in terms of their and girlfriends and hooking up with girls, and just feeling completely lost. And what I did to overcome it, honestly, I kind of tried to ignore it for probably 3-4 years and just felt really bad about myself. Felt like a failure. And eventually I had to just be real with myself that my life wasn't where I wanted it to be. And I had to start taking small steps at first that were very uncomfortable, but just, exposing myself to failure, being open to failing with girls, and getting comfortable with that process little by little.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Good question and good answer.
Good question. That was a good question, bro.
And good answer.
Thanks, man.
Shout out Virginia, bro.
Shout out JMU Phi Psi.
Shout out
Is that a fraternity?
JMU Phi Psi? What's that? The frat?
Sigma Chi, baby. Hang up.
All right, bro. Have a good day, brother.
Thanks, LT.
All right, love you, man.
He turned you off.
That's cool. Amazing.
In fucking Virginia. That's crazy. I always get amazed like where they are. Like I'm like, yeah, that's
Bro, we had someone from Ireland the other day. Why is Virginia
Ireland.
that crazy? Bro?
We're just sitting at a table in Texas, and there's this dude from Ireland.
Perfect Wi-Fi communication.
Yeah, that was a good question.
Yeah.
Now we
Yeah, now we hit him with the.
The last question.
with the strong one.
Legacy loading. What is that? What does it mean to you? Leaving a legacy.
What does leaving a legacy mean?
Yeah. And what kind of legacy?
And what do you
wanna leave?
what legacy do you want to leave?
I think for me, it would just be being able to look back and know that I helped other men overcome some of the same challenges that I overcame, but with ideally with less pain and quicker than I had to experience.
I love that. That was fucking great.
I love that.
That's a clip.
That was
That's a
awesome.
clip too.
That's a
And watch
fucking
out for
clip
those
right there.
flying knees, boys.
Yeah, don't
Shit's
get
dangerous.
That's so fucking funny.
That's going to be it for episode 21.
21, yes.
Thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Dave, for coming
Thank you,
on. For
David.
real. That
Yeah,
was fucking
appreciate
fire.
it.
All right, guys, if you made it this far, we want to thank you for tuning into the pod, and we want to thank our sponsor again, Bluemon. So give these a try, guys. Seriously, we stand behind them, and we know that you will too.
The one thing that Bluemon does that nobody else does is they have their pre-styling products. We have the volumizing Ascend Cream again and the Maracai Original Styler. Guys, if you've never tried a pre-styler before, really give it a try. It helps hold that look that you're really looking for when you use your post-styling products. Give it a try. And we know, guys, there's tons of products out there, which is why we highly recommend the Discovery Kit. You can try the pre-styler along with all the post-stylers that Bluemon has to offer to find what works best for you and your style.
Yeah, so once again, we just want to thank you guys for all the support. Like, you're helping us grow this platform to a point where now we have a sponsor for the pod, which is incredible. So I hope you guys understand that this ad is part of the business now, and this is a company we support, and we want to give them a platform, and it's a great product, guys. So give it a try. Code Legacy, run it up.
Don't forget, if you guys use code Legacy for 10%, send us a message.
send it
for
to us,
real.
bro.
We want to know
Seriously.
when you guys want to try it out. We want to know your feedback and how everything goes.
Oh yeah, appreciate you guys. Code Legacy. See you in the next one.
Peace.